Carlisle Hashem. Welcome to the Carlisle Hashem Show. We're very excited today to have two authors, romance authors, with us, and I'd like to introduce them to you. Anita Clenney, who has come from
Fredericksburg, Virginia.
And Susan Marmo, who is our local author here in Oxford, Maryland. Welcome,
Good morning.
ladies.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
We're going to be talking about romance novels, and romance novels are a genre unto themselves. Would you like to talk a little bit, Anita, about what you consider a romance novel to be?
Sure. And I think it's there's a wide spectrum with the romance genre. We have now, you have paranormal romance, you have contemporary, you have historical, we have some, like my books, are a little bit hard to define because we'll have, there's lots of adventure, there's mystery,
Time travel.
Time travel. I actually laugh and say my books are mystery, adventure, romance, humorous, suspense. It's really hard to break them down, but the key to the romance novel is you do have to have the romance in it. So that has to be a central part of the book, in that you have a hero and a heroine who are working through a journey. There are always some kind of odds that they're facing, you know, internally and externally, and by the end of the book, they've worked through those. So the romance is there, but you can have all kinds of different things surrounding it, you know, vampires, werewolves, or maybe it's just, you know, a prince or a duke, or it could be, you know, a farmer.
An ex-boyfriend.
An ex-boyfriend.
You know, a jealous
yes.
girlfriend. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to necessarily be something of foreign nature.
That's the fun thing, is it could be any with all the characters. You know, you can bring so many different characters into the genre, and that's what makes it exciting, I think.
And Susan, talking about romance and having a Prince Charming, you had in your first book, The Rest of Your Life. Tell us about who that Prince Charming was.
Liam. Liam was, I mean, that book was a fairy tale on its own, so that it's just a foreign version of maybe of the Cinderella story that, you know, we're all read as young girls. But the heroine is very strong. She's not abused or anything. All of my characters tend to be very strong with the normal self-confidence issues that any woman would have. But yeah, Prince Charming does come along. He's got his own battles to face, but he does show up, and happily ever after, as we all want. That's the one thing that has to be the common theme to define it as a romance. There has to be a happy ending.
Right.
That's the rule of all rules.
Right.
There has to be a certain amount of passion, and there has to be a happy ending.
Right.
Okay, so how did you all get started in your writing careers?
Go first.
Okay. Well, I actually, a lot of people say, I always dreamed of being a writer. I've been writing stories since elementary school. Not for me. I had never considered writing a novel, never considered writing, but I was an avid reader. I loved reading, and still do. I don't have as much time now. And I don't know what happened, but one day I was reading and something just struck me, and I'm like, I can write a book. I can write this. And the idea grew on me, and I thought, you know, I can write a book that I want to read.
Thank you.
I can write a book that's tailored to me, you know, the reader. And it was so exciting, so I sat down February 6, 2006, and started writing.
Date, huh?
I remember that date. And I started writing, and I had no idea what I was getting into. Once I did a little research, and I realized how difficult it is to get published, because half the world, people have a book inside them. They want to write a book. And once I realized how hard it was, and probably how impossible it was too late. I would have done it just for myself. I would not have given up. You know, I would write the book, forget publication. I was going to write the book for me. And that's actually the best way to write the book, you know, because you're writing the book that you're, you know, passionate about yourself. And I got lucky. I got an agent probably a couple of years afterwards. It was kind of I was at a conference, a writer's conference, and I was standing in line at a book signing, and we struck up a conversation, and she asked what I wrote and asked to see it. So that really, I think, helped me, you know, getting the agent. And then I got published, and my whole really road to publication has been sort of a fairy tale. And I think it's inspiring for other people, because if it could happen to me, it could happen to other people, because I didn't dream of being a writer. The debut book, Awaken the Highland Warrior, hit the New York Times bestseller list 4 months after it was out. And that just doesn't happen a lot. Now, it was the ebook version, but that just doesn't happen a lot.
Oh, I didn't think about that. There's an ebook version of the bestseller list, and then
there's lots of different categories within the list. Yes, yes.
I'm not on it.
Yes, you'll be there. Give it time. You'll be there. I didn't think I would be on it either.
It's amazing.
That's what's so cool, is that you all help each other in that getting through. Because I would think as a writer, you're alone.
Right.
It's solitary.
Right.
Yeah. And when I do get into writing it heavy, my husband's interruption, cooking dinner, it's not uncommon for me to have to eat for a couple of days. That is the first time I've heard that story.
Oh, really?
Yep. I can't believe that same exact thing for me.
Yeah.
Just at night, having trouble sleeping, making up stories in my head. I was like, well, because I'm an avid reader, and I would make these stories up in my head to make myself calm down. I was like, well, I can write my own story.
Right.
The one exactly the way I want it, saying exactly what I want. And after years and years of suffering with restless leg syndrome, that's how I got myself to sleep. I was like, I need to write this down. November 1st, 2007. In a car, in our vehicle, we were moving from Georgia. I opened up the laptop that I had plugged into the cigarette lighter, and I cranked out about, in the 10 hours that it took us to drive, I cranked out about 15,000 words.
Oh, how amazing.
Now, everybody talks about writer's block.
Yes.
And I assume at some point you all get writer's block. And do you go outside, take a walk, or look at the water, or what is it that gets you in the groove again?
Well, for me, it's like writer's block. I guess we all do suffer from it in some form or fashion. For me, I'll reach a point where it's just like I forget how to write. I will forget how to write sometimes. I'm just how do I put the words on the page?
How did I do this?
And it's the most bizarre thing. I can pick up a book, open up a book, any writer, read a paragraph, and I'm like, oh yes, and it all comes back to me.
We've never had these conversations. It's like we're twins. When I have writer's block, I read.
And now, one of my greatest inspirations, my best ideas come when I'm falling asleep, when I'm dreaming, or actually dreaming. That's how the first book started. And when I'm waking up, I'll sometimes lay in bed for an hour plotting. And I grab my little notebook or my phone, and I dive under the covers, and I'm typing on my iPhone, to make my notes and everything, because you will forget it. If you don't write it down, you will forget your idea. So I always keep something beside the bed, to write. And movies, I can watch a movie and it not necessarily get an inspiration for that, like I want to, write this story, but it just inspires you. It gets the creative feeling going,
The hunger.
The last Harry Potter movie that I saw, I actually had to take out a piece of scrap paper, I think it might have been a napkin, with my iPhone, and I was holding it down on my lap so that I could see, because the inspiration was coming so fast. That was the most productive movie I have ever paid for.
Wow.
Because it inspired me so much. And it's wonderful when these bursts come in, because sometimes they don't come. So it's wonderful when they're there.
Can you turn it off? Because I can't turn it off.
No, it's hard.
I'll see a commercial. I'll see a scene of people walking down the street, just normal going to the grocery store, and something like my head will just kind of like a dog. I'm like, there was something special about that moment, and I could make a whole story out of that scene and breed something out of going to bingo. Something that I felt at the bingo, or I'm just being silly there, but something's just, you never know, but I can't turn it off.
So you're visualizing a scene and
constantly,
and then you're working the words around it.
Yeah. That's how all of my stories are scenes. The funny thing is, I should have realized that I should have been a writer in the first grade, because I have always had scenes in my head. Ever since I was a little girl, I have never been fully in the moment. My mind was always somewhere else. And I didn't realize it until, 7 years ago, that, oh my gosh, all those scenes, I should have been putting them together as a story. And I wish I had realized it, but.
I didn't have anything like that.
Better late than never.
I minored in philosophy in college, and so we always had to write papers. and philosophy is one of those things that's not right or wrong. So as long as you covered the curriculum that they wanted to be covered in this paper, and I would always get things back that flashes of brilliance in your own way, or I've been doing this for 30 years, I've been teaching this class, and this is the first time someone's ever approached it like this. You know, that sort of thing. So it had more to do with the style of the writing as opposed to the content of the writing, but nothing as far back as first grade, you know, nothing like that, but just a style maybe.
It's been there lurking.
Do you have like a running commentary in your head all the time?
Sometimes I do, yeah.
I have a running like, how would such and such handle this? Like if I was kicking around story ideas, I do that a lot.
Well, these story ideas and kicking them around have taken you both, at least on paper, to Scotland. And so the interest in the British Isles has really taken off. You said in the past 20 years, and Susan has firsthand experience with Scotland,
which I'm very jealous of. Have you been? I have not been.
Oh, we'll go next year.
I have not been.
We'll go next year. Yep. There's a culture. There's an absolute. I call them the Scotophiles. Anything you put a kilt on it, you put a kilt on the cover, a castle on the cover, and there is a certain amount of this, what I call it, that's involved that they're expecting from this book, and I believe the majority, 99% of any book that I was one of them. I'm still one of them. If it's got a kilt, if it's got a Highlander, whatever, I want to read it, and they deliver because. To me, to them, to us, that's the fairy tale.
Right.
It's different. It's got a certain allure. It's got a history. You know, everybody's seen Braveheart and all these other things. There's a certain something in their brain, and they want to be a part of that. And it's sexy and it's romantic, and you think of this kind of man, you know. So
So those tartan kilts really kill the women, huh?
They really do. There are, like she said, there are so many women out there who will read, that's what they like to read, Highland stories.
And it's like a high.
They just really love them. And I think part of it is with the romance novels, or mystery novels, I think as well, there's an escape there. You know, we see a lot of things on the news. We see unpleasant things. We have life lessons in life, you know. And I think the people who are reading these books, they will perhaps identify with something in it, because one of the things with romance novels, and it irritates me somewhat, is people look at them as kind of flimsy or subpar, and that they don't have any substance. Romance novels are incredible in the depth of the characters and what they're facing, and it's not just all boy meets girl, and they're amazing books, but they do, you know, when you pick the romance novel up, you're going to have a satisfying conclusion. You're not going to find out, oh no, he had leukemia and died or something. You know, you're going to walk away with a good feeling, you know. You're going to have a good feeling, you know, and that's
and these aren't weak
important.
Women.
No,
these are not. These are not the Prince Charming as we know it that is coming to save her because she's got no skill. The only thing is she's got pretty hair. It's not it. These are women who are bringing something to the table, are looking for having it all: the career, the family, the husband, the love, the travel, the education. These aren't people sitting back with a whisk in their hand saying, what can I make you for dinner?
Right.
You know, not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, the idea that
they've
she's saying
changed.
is
The novels have changed. I think romance novels have really changed
because we've changed as
over
women.
the last, 20 years. You know, now it's not about the young girl who's the governess and she goes, and she's, the widower and that kind of thing. I mean, there's still a market for that, and it's still a great story. But a lot of your romance novels now are very different, very strong characters. And to me, I think that's what's so much fun. All of my stories have alpha males. They have men who do want to protect. They're very, they're good-hearted, they're strong men. They want to protect.
Tender.
And the women weren't looking for somebody to protect them. So you have instant clash, which makes a fantastic book. Terrible in real life, but it's fantastic in fiction. And it's just so much fun watching the characters try to mesh out their characters and learn to deal with each other, and you have great banter. You have just, it's fun. There's so much humor that you can interject.
And that element,
and
I think,
it's fun.
Of surprise, where they don't want to like each other. They, like, there's always something like always in a huff, and but they can't help it. And I think that ultimate draw that you can't ignore is why it's romance, because who can open up a catalog and pick out, well, I'll take one of him. You know, it's always the whole thing that everybody says is when you're not looking, when you're least looking, that's when you'll find him. And that's what happens here. That no one was looking, no one was asking to be saved.
Right.
These people came in the way at a time that you needed them, and they have a journey.
Right.
And you coined a phrase, or you read something that had been coined about the imperfect and perfect.
Reader's Digest, I can't tell you how many years ago. Excellent periodical, by the way. I don't know who said it, but it's not from me. It says, love is not about finding a perfect person, but about seeing an imperfect person perfectly. Because we all have flaws, but you know, it's
and you do see the imperfections in your characters.
Right.
basically it's beauty's in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? But just a little bit.
Yeah, the
wooier.
characters are very flawed, you know, and they have to learn to see the beauty in each other and to see the beauty in their differences, because, you know, typically they're probably going to have a lot of differences, you know, to
And
work
that's
out.
real life anyway.
Yeah.
You know, real life.
Well, we haven't talked specifically about the book, so Susan, you just published Just Sophie.
Which is a Western romance, so that's another subgenre of
Right.
romance, a Western romance. Yep, I made spitting look romantic. Like cowboy hat and
the heroine and hero in the novels.
Well, this book has two sets, but Sophie is the main woman, obviously, and Bryce, and then Bryce has a brother, and then there's another. Enter Exhibit A, but I don't want to ruin it because that's a very important part of the book. So there's another, but this was technically a historical romance because it takes place beyond contemporary times. Montana Territory, 1888. Different rules to play by. More of the roles, the old-fashioned roles of, you know, but with the West. You know, the woman's going to wring a chicken neck, or she's going to hunt for her. It's not uncommon for the woman to have a gun to shoot something, a coyote, or so there is a bit of a different rules there. But it's your my twist on a very strong woman caught behind the lines of women.
Duty.
Women didn't really have a say in a whole lot. You know, they weren't.
It was a different age.
Yeah, it was a different age. They didn't have a whole lot. But this was a strong man who allowed her to have her say, and more importantly, believed her and believed in her and fought a battle together, as well as fought their own demons, fought their own personal demons along a journey. The book is, it's a justice is served as well as romance is heated up as well. So.
And Anita, you have your first book, Awaken the Highland Warrior, then led into the second book. But what were the demons in the first book, Awaken the Highland Warrior?
With the entire series, the premise of it is that Michael the Archangel has a continuing battle with demons on Earth who are trying to destroy humans. Of course, humans don't know about this, and we have these secret warriors who are specially equipped. They're human, but they have special abilities to fight these demons. And so these demons are very powerful. They're very crafty, and they're disguised. They can disguise. They might be your neighbor. They might be your real estate agent. It might be your boyfriend. You know, you never know who it might be. So with this series, there's a lot of paranormal elements, and basically the warrior is sent to destroy or suspend this demon, you know, to get rid of him. Suspending would mean he locks him in a time vault where for 150 years the box won't open, and he would be trapped there until Judgment Day, in which he would be judged for his evil. And but in this first story, we have the warrior gets trapped in the time vault, which won't open for 150 years. And then we skip to modern times, where the heroine is a historian who has always searched for hidden treasure, and she's always been fascinated. She's never felt quite normal. She's felt very unusual. She's very strong, but she has she was kind of looked at as the crazy person because she could sense things that, you know, other people couldn't. And she finds a treasure map in the attic of her great-grandmother's house, and she thinks she's found, you know, a hidden treasure. She follows that to the graveyard out back, and she opens up the crypt, and out pops the warrior.
And he's pretty good looking.
He's very handsome
And very scary.
and very scary. Yes.
I love this
And
book.
he, you know, he's got his dagger, and he almost beheads her. And of course, you've got a lot of. He's thinking she must be a demon, or how would she have known where I was? She must be working with the demon. And then, of course, you know, she's thinking he must be a demon because he came from a time vault, and she had read in this, you know, secret book that demons were kept in the time vault. So you have a lot of, they have to figure out that each other are not demons and who the real demon is. And that series has lots of warriors, and it will continue for as long as the readers want it. You know, I'll tell every warrior story. And then my new series, which started with Guardians of Stone, which came out in December, is kind of an Indiana Jones. They're searching for relics, but it has a paranormal twist as well. We have ghosts, and we have castles and catacombs, and lots of creepy things, and lots of secrets and hidden stuff. And it's really exciting. We have 3 strong characters here. We have a billionaire who has lots and lots of money, and he has dark secrets, and he has hired this relics expert who has a sixth sense for relics. She can touch an object and sometimes sense the history behind it, and which makes her ideal for the work. But he hasn't really told her the full story of why he needs the relics. And he hires a tough guy bodyguard, to a mercenary, to protect her back. And so we've got a little bit of a love triangle going on, and this one has very strong mystery. The mystery is probably equally as strong as the romance in this one. And it's a lot of fun.
Dying for the second one to come out, because the romance part was, you know, it was just
it's
a
a
little bit of
build-up.
heavy petting, and that was about it. I'm like, oh, come on, please, you know. So I'm dying for the next one to come out.
And the second one comes out in September. So
Oh, good, good,
yes,
good.
Congratulations.
yes, thank you.